Echo had Red John's arm stretched across the cheap motel table under a single flickering bulb. The skin from elbow to wrist had turned the color of old parchment. Fine grains of sand kept sifting out of the pores whenever he flexed his fingers. It made a soft, dry sound on the table, like an hourglass counting down. "Stop moving," Echo muttered, her braids falling forward as she leaned in. The cursed poetry book lay open beside her, pages fluttering even though there was no wind. Red John watched the sand fall with mild interest. "It itches, like something's trying to write its name under my skin." "That's because it is," Echo said. She dipped a finger into a small bowl of her own blood mixed with crushed myrrh and began tracing symbols directly onto his forearm. The symbols glowed faint green for a second before sinking in. "The mummy marked you. It wants to finish what it started, turn you into one of its pretty little wrapped gifts." Red John's mouth twitched. "Tell it I don't look good in linen." Echo didn't laugh. She pressed harder and Red John hissed as the skin cracked like dry leather. More sand poured out. "You're lucky it only got your arm," she said quietly. "Most people it touches end up unwrapped, slowly, while they're still breathing." Red John was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, almost to himself, "I've seen men take skin before. They never did it this clean." Echo's hands paused. She looked at him. Red John met her eyes with that same calm, empty smile he always wore when things got ugly, the kind of smile that made her wonder, not for the first time, what exactly he used to do before he started hunting monsters with her. She finished the last symbol and tied a strip of blessed linen around his forearm. The moment it touched the marked skin, the sand stopped falling. The parchment color faded a little. "It won't hold forever," she warned. "The mummy knows your name now. It remembers what you taste like." Red John flexed his fingers. The arm still looked wrong, but it moved. "Then we find it before it finishes the job." They tracked the mummy for 3 nights. It was leaving a trail, not of bodies, but of arrangements. People posed like museum exhibits in increasingly public places. A security guard at the Natural History Museum arranged in a glass case, perfectly mummified, holding a sign that read, "New Acquisition." A homeless man on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, skin dried and wrapped, mouth sewn into a peaceful smile. Each scene had the same hieroglyph burned somewhere. "Payment due." Echo kept seeing the mummy in her dreams. It would stand at the foot of her bed, head tilted, whispering in voices she hadn't heard since childhood. Red John slept like the dead, or like someone who was used to sleeping next to corpses. On the 4th night they found it, an abandoned wing of the old Smithsonian storage facility, crates of Egyptian artifacts stacked like coffins. The air smelled like hot sand and myrrh. The mummy was waiting for them. It stepped out of the shadows, already unwrapping itself, fresh linen strips floating around it like hungry snakes. Its eyes burned brighter than before. It had fed. "Poet," it rasped inside their heads. "I have been dreaming of your voice. I will wear it like a new tongue." Then it turned its burning gaze on Red John. "And you. I tasted something old in your blood, something that has taken many skins before mine. Interesting." Red John didn't flinch. He just pulled the long hunting knife from his belt, the one Echo had never seen him without, and rolled his shoulders. "Echo," he said calmly, "if I start looking like I'm enjoying this too much, shoot me." Then he moved, and Echo saw it. Red John didn't fight like a man defending himself. He fought like someone who had done this many times before. The knife became an extension of his hand, precise, economical, almost artistic. He didn't waste motion. Every cut was meant to disable, to peel, to unmake. He ducked under a swinging bandaged arm, sliced upward through linen and whatever was underneath, and spun away before the mummy could grab him. The mummy shrieked, not from pain, but from recognition. "You have done this before, many times, many faces." Red John's reply was a low, almost amused grunt as he drove the knife deep into the mummy's side and twisted, like he was checking the doneness of meat. Echo felt her stomach turn, not from the violence, from how natural it looked on him. The mummy retaliated hard. It grabbed Red John's already damaged arm and squeezed. The protective symbols flared, then cracked. Sand exploded from the wound. Red John's face went white, but he didn't scream. He just switched the knife to his other hand and kept cutting, expression almost peaceful. Echo started chanting from the poetry book, pages tearing themselves out and wrapping around the mummy like glowing chains. The creature roared, bandages whipping wildly, trying to reach her. Red John saw the opening. He drove the knife straight up under the mummy's chin, through the jaw and out the top of its head. For one horrible second, the two of them were face to face, the ancient monster and the modern killer, and Red John smiled that same empty smile. "Stay dead this time," he whispered. The mummy's eyes flared. It backhanded Red John across the room so hard he hit a crate and went through it. Then it turned on Echo. It moved faster than before. One second it was across the room, the next its bandaged hands were on her face, thumbs pressing against her eyes. "I will take your voice first, then your skin. Then I will go back for the one who remembers how to wear faces." Echo slammed the glowing poetry book against its chest. Green fire exploded between them. The mummy screamed, a sound like 1,000 mummies waking at once, and stumbled back, clutching at the burning hole in its wrappings. It looked at them both with something almost like respect. "You are not prey. You are interesting. I will enjoy unwrapping you slowly." Then it dissolved into a storm of sand and linen strips and vanished through a crack in the wall. Silence fell. Echo dropped to her knees, breathing hard. Red John pushed himself out of the broken crate, blood running down his face from a cut above his eye. His damaged arm hung useless again, but he was still holding the knife like it belonged there. Echo stared at him. "You fought like you've done that before," she said quietly. "Not just monsters, people." Red John wiped blood off his knife with a strip of the mummy's own bandage. He didn't look at her. "Everybody's got a past, Echo." He flexed his bad arm. More sand fell out. "Think you can patch me up again? This thing really doesn't want to let go." Echo didn't answer right away. She was still seeing the way he'd moved, the way he'd smiled while he was carving into something that should have been dead for 4,000 years. Somewhere in the city, the mummy was already choosing its next victim, and somewhere deeper, Echo was starting to wonder exactly what kind of monster she had teamed up with. Red John finally looked at her, that same calm, empty smile. "Stop thinking so loud," he said. "We've got a mummy to finish killing." Echo forced a shaky laugh. "You're buying the drinks after this." "Deal," Red John said. "But you're driving. I think I left some of my arm back there." They walked out into the night together. Behind them, in the dark, a single strip of bloody linen twitched on the floor, then slowly began to drag itself toward the exit, following them. The debt wasn't paid yet, not even close.